They say an empire is only as strong as the army that defends it. And Rome. Rome built an army so powerful, so disciplined, that it didn't just protect an empire, it created one. From a small city on the banks of the Tiber River, Rome rose to dominate 3 continents. But here's the surprising part. The Roman army wasn't born great. It was forged through defeat, rebuilt through innovation, and held together by an iron discipline that made it unlike anything the world had ever seen. In the beginning, Rome was just another city-state in Italy. Nothing special. Surrounded by enemies, they weren't the conquerors we think of today, they were scrappy survivors. They fought their neighbors, and they lost, a lot. But every defeat became a lesson. Rome's genius wasn't that they never fell. It was that every time they did, they came back stronger. Take the wars against the Samnites in the mountains of central Italy. At first, Rome fought like the Greeks, in a phalanx, rows of men packed shoulder to shoulder, shields locked together, spears pointing forward. On flat ground it worked fine, but in the rocky hills it was a disaster. The Samnites picked them apart. Rome could have given up. Instead, they adapted. They broke their rigid formation into smaller, flexible groups called maniples. Each one could move independently, shift with the terrain, and fight in tight spaces. Suddenly, Rome wasn't chained to the flat plains anymore. They could fight anywhere, hills, forests, valleys. That change turned them from clumsy imitators into innovators. And that's the real secret of the Roman army. Adaptation. They stole good ideas from everyone, Etruscans, Greeks, Gauls, Iberians. If it worked, Rome used it. Their famous short sword, the gladius, came from Spain. Their curved shields, from the Samnites. They didn't care about pride of invention. They cared about winning. But tactics were just one piece of the puzzle. What really made the Roman army unstoppable was its organization. A legion was around 5,000 men, but it wasn't just a mob with swords. It was structured like a machine. Centuries led by centurions, cohorts made up of centuries, all fitting together like gears in a clock. Every man had a role. Every man had a place. If one soldier fell, the line didn't collapse. Someone else stepped in. That order and clarity made the legions terrifyingly reliable. And let's not forget the training. Brutal doesn't even begin to cover it. Recruits drilled every day, marching for miles under the hot sun with 80 pounds of gear strapped to their backs, armor, weapons, tools, rations. Their practice swords were heavier than the real thing, so when battle came, their gladius felt light and deadly. By the time they reached the battlefield, a Roman soldier wasn't just a fighter. He was an athlete, an engineer, and a survivor rolled into one. Then there was the camp. Every night, no matter where they were, Roman legions built a fortified camp before they rested. Trenches, walls, gates, streets laid out in perfect order. It didn't matter if they had marched 20 miles that day. They still picked up shovels and dug. Why? Because safety and discipline came first. The result was a portable fortress that could spring up anywhere, secure, organized, and ready for battle. Now, discipline. This is where the Roman army really stood apart. Order wasn't optional, it was life or death. If a unit broke in battle, they faced punishments we'd call unthinkable today. The harshest was decimation. Imagine this, a unit that had disgraced itself would line up, and 1 in 10 men, chosen by lot, was executed by his comrades. Terrifying, yes. But it drove home the point that no one, not even your closest friends, wanted you to break ranks. Rome's soldiers didn't just fear the enemy. They feared failure. And that fear held the line. But Rome's brilliance wasn't just on the battlefield. It was political. Unlike other empires that simply crushed their enemies, Rome offered conquered peoples a deal. Fight with us, share in our success, and you can earn Roman citizenship. That was powerful. Citizenship meant rights, protection, and opportunity. In return, Rome got more soldiers, more allies, more manpower. With every war they won, their army grew not just in size but in diversity. Italians, Spaniards, Gauls, all fighting under the eagle of Rome. It was less like an army and more like a snowball, rolling downhill, growing bigger with every victory. Of course, Rome wasn't invincible. They suffered disasters, some of them massive. The Battle of Cannae is the most famous. Hannibal of Carthage lured the Romans into a trap and surrounded them. Tens of thousands of Roman soldiers were killed in a single day. For most states, that would have been the end. But Rome refused to surrender. They raised new armies, changed their strategy, and kept fighting until Carthage itself was in ruins. That resilience, the refusal to quit, is one of the biggest reasons Rome built the greatest army in history. Over the centuries, their legions became more than just soldiers. They were engineers who built roads, bridges, and aqueducts. They were settlers who spread Roman culture across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Everywhere the legions went, they left a mark that outlasted even the empire itself. Roads built by Roman soldiers still exist today. The organization of modern armies, the ranks, the training, even the idea of standard uniforms, all trace back to Rome. And here's the thing. The Roman army didn't just conquer land. It created identity. To serve under the eagle was to be part of something bigger than yourself. It was dangerous, it was exhausting, and sometimes it was deadly. But it gave ordinary men the chance to be part of history. So when we say Rome built the greatest army in history, it wasn't because they never lost. It wasn't because they had the best weapons or the biggest numbers. It was because they combined discipline, innovation, and sheer determination into a system that could outlast defeat, outfight enemies, and outbuild entire civilizations. Rome itself eventually fell. No empire lasts forever. But the Roman army? Its legacy is still alive, in our roads, our laws, and in the very way we think about what an army should be. And maybe that's the greatest victory of all.